All right, let's just jump right into it. Today, we're taking a sledgehammer to some of the absolute most stubborn fitness myths out there. The American College of Sports Medicine, or the ACSM, has just released a monumental update to their resistance training guidelines. These are basically the gold standard rules for how human beings should lift weights to build muscle, get stronger, and live longer. And honestly, digging into the insights from the paper's senior author, Dr. Stuart Phillips, I was completely blown away to find that the science is actually a whole lot simpler than the internet wants you to believe.
Look, if you're feeling totally overwhelmed and confused by online fitness advice right now, you are absolutely not alone. One influencer tells you that you have to lift heavy 5 days a week, and then literally the next scroll, someone else is insisting on these wildly complicated rep schemes and exotic exercises. It's a total minefield of misinformation out there. But the beauty of the data we're unpacking in this explainer is that it completely validates your frustration. You aren't confused because you don't get it. You're confused because the noise is just deafening. Today, we're putting all of that aside and looking strictly at the evidence.
So here's our roadmap. First, the 17-year science update. Second, rethinking reps and muscle growth. Third, lowering resistance training barriers. And finally, aging stronger to beat sarcopenia.
All right, Section 1, the 17-year science update.
17 years. Seriously, think about that for a second. That's how long it's been since the American College of Sports Medicine last updated their resistance training guidelines way back in 2009. Think about how much the fitness industry, social media, and sports science have changed in almost 2 decades. This wasn't just some minor tweak to the rulebook. It was a highly anticipated, massive overhaul that we desperately needed to bring our understanding of human physiology into the modern era. And to really grasp the sheer magnitude of this update, we have to talk about the number 137. That is the number of systematic reviews compiled by Dr. Stuart Phillips and his team. Now, a systematic review is essentially the highest level of scientific evidence we have. It's literally a study of studies. So to base guidelines on 137 of them means we're looking at the absolute peak of vetted, scrutinized, and proven data. But what makes those 137 reviews so incredibly powerful is the human element. They encompass over 30,000 participants. We aren't just talking about a tiny study on a handful of 20-something college athletes here. This gives us an unprecedented, massive pool of data covering vastly diverse ages, body types, and fitness levels. When you have a sample size of 30,000 people, the weird outliers just fade away, and the absolute truth of how the human body responds to resistance training becomes crystal clear.
So, what does this all mean for us? Well, it means the sheer volume of this data gives us a clear, undeniable signal through all that constant social media noise. You don't have to guess anymore. You don't need to rely on the opinions of someone just trying to sell you their complex workout program. The goal of these guidelines, and really the goal of this entire explainer, is to hand you the unvarnished scientific truth.
Moving right along to Section 2, rethinking reps and muscle growth.
Now, you're going to hear the clinical word hypertrophy thrown around a lot in this data, but let's just demystify that term right out of the gate so we're all on the same page. Whenever we talk about hypertrophy, we are literally just talking about building muscle. That's it, getting your muscles to grow.
Okay, this is where things get really fascinating. One of the most surprising takeaways from this new data completely shatters an old gym rule. You know that rigid 8 to 12 reps rule? Yeah, it's a total myth. For decades, the dogma was that if you wanted to build muscle, you absolutely had to lift a weight you could only move 8 to 12 times. No more, no less. But the new data proves that hypertrophy actually happens across a much, much wider rep range. You can build significant muscle doing higher repetitions with lighter weight, just as long as you're pushing your muscles near to the point of fatigue.
Actually, there is a catch here, though, especially when it comes to raw strength. While lighter weights are genuinely fantastic for building muscle size, if your goal is to increase your absolute maximum strength, like the absolute heaviest weight you can lift for one single repetition, then you are required to lift heavy weights, full stop. It's basically like this. Lighter weights build the size, but heavier weights train your nervous system for actual power. Okay, Section 3, lowering resistance training barriers. Probably the biggest mental hurdle with resistance training is this lingering belief that you need an expensive gym membership and some intimidating barbell setup. Not true at all. The updated guidelines list an incredibly wide range of effective strengthening activities. Obviously, dumbbells, resistance bands, and machines make the list, but Pilates and yoga using just your body weight, absolutely, they fit the bill too. But here's the wild part.
Even heavy gardening is officially listed as a strengthening activity in these public health guidelines. Seriously, moving dirt, carrying heavy pots, pushing wheelbarrows, it all counts. And here's another huge sigh of relief for basically all of us. You do not need a complicated spreadsheet to get fit. The concept of periodization, which is this idea of highly structuring your workouts into distinct, mathematically planned phases over months and years, it might not matter nearly as much as people think for the average person. Look, unless you're an elite athlete trying to peak for the Olympics, the science clearly shows that stressing over perfect, highly complex programming is totally unnecessary to see real, life-changing benefits. So let's just distill all of this down into the absolute simplest, most effective routine according to the new guidelines. Step 1, pick whatever simple equipment you have access to. Could be bands, dumbbells, or honestly, just your own body weight. Step 2, do a full body routine rather than hyper-focusing and splitting up your muscle groups onto different days. Step 3, keep the whole workout to just 20 minutes. That is it. A 20-minute full body circuit done a couple times a week is enough to dramatically move the needle for your health and your muscle growth. Which brings us to Section 4, Aging Stronger, Beating Sarcopenia. As we grow older, the focus of resistance training kind of shifts. It becomes much more about preserving our quality of life, specifically to combat a condition called sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is defined as the age-related loss of skeletal muscle mass. And I know it might just sound like a totally natural part of getting older, but the consequences are severe. It reduces physical independence, increases disability, and drastically heightens the risk of falls and hospitalizations. The medical stakes here are very, very real, and resistance training is literally the primary medicine. Now, you might be thinking, well, sarcopenia is something I only need to worry about in my 70s or 80s, right? Actually, Dr. Phillips highlights a pretty sobering fact here. Muscle mass and strength loss begins silently around age 30. 30! So that means preserving your muscle health is not some later-in-life project we can just put off. It's an immediate priority for all of us, right now, to prevent this silent decline.
Plus, the ACSM guidelines highlight something absolutely fascinating regarding older adults, the vital necessity of power training. And when we say power training here, we definitely don't mean heavy, maximum effort deadlifts. We mean the speed at which you move. Being able to generate force quickly is exactly what allows you to catch yourself when you trip on the sidewalk. The science shows that training your muscles to react and contract with speed is essential to not falling down as you get older. It's how you maintain your mobility and your physical independence.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a direct, super empowering takeaway from Dr. Phillips and this massive 17-year data update. Equipment matters less than you think. Dumbbells, bands, machines, all work. Please do not let a lack of perfect equipment or some master plan stop you from just starting. The science is practically begging us to embrace simplicity here. You don't need the optimal setup, you just need to give your muscles a challenging stimulus. We've cut through the noise, debunked that stubborn 8 to 12 rep myth, and looked at exactly what 30,000 participants and 137 systematic reviews have actually proven. The barrier to entry has literally never been lower. So the only question left to ask yourself right now is this: how are you going to start your 20 minutes today? Thanks for exploring this amazing research with me, and we'll see you in the next explainer.